or at least that's as it's interpreted a lot of the time. It originally, or oh, new word alert. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 5 of Music by Mads Season 1. Today we are talking about classical music that'll blow your mind, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter episode just because I'm a bit fried after my midterms, and this is something that people often aren't the most interested in, so I want to keep it snappy to try and keep the interest going. Hopefully you are interested, and hopefully you want me to talk about it again, because I will if the people want. But I want to make sure people enjoy it, of course. Can't be boring. Obviously, the phrase classical music that will blow your mind is very subjective. It blows my mind, and I really like it. So hopefully it also blows your mind. We're being a little clickbaity, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But yeah, hopefully you find something you enjoy from today, and hopefully you get to keep enjoying that. Yeah. So first, before we actually get started on the topic, I wanted to tell you about this keychain I got. Right here. This is my keychain. I'll put pictures up because I don't want to do the influencer thing. It's too difficult. I'll put pictures up of that. But yeah, I wanted to tell you about this cute keychain I got. It's from Evoke Charm Bar, and I really love it. I just got it this week, and so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the charms I got. First, we've got this cute little ruby for my birthstone, which is July. Then I've got an M. Wonder why that is? Obviously for my name, which is Maddie, but y'all know me as Mads. And then the last one is the most important one, story-wise. I got a cute little microphone charm because, well, first, I love music. Second, I currently work in radio, and that's going to be something that I'm going to remember fondly forever. So I wanted to get a little microphone, and then third, this podcast, obviously. And I wanted to get something that kind of encapsulates all three of those parts of my life. So therefore, little microphone that you will see on the screen. And I thought it would be great. And I love it. I'm very happy with it. I keep looking at it this week. It's cute. Here's some ASMR for you. But it's yeah, it's really cute. Got a little layered look going on it. So they're all on there. The gang's all there. You can see them all. They're very cute. I'm very, very happy with it. If you guys want a little keychain like mine, or a bracelet, or a necklace, you can visit Evoke Charm Bar in the Ice Center at BYU, Idaho. Or you can visit their website, which is evokecharmbar.store. And they always have deals going, and they can ship your order to you. So you can order even if you're not on BYU Idaho's campus. So yeah, I would visit their website, go check out what they've got. And again, that website is evokecharmbar.store if you want to buy from them. They're only open until the end of the semester because they are an IBC company, which is like they do small businesses throughout the semester, see how much money they can make after getting a loan. It's for the business and like marketing majors. And so they're only open until the end of the semester. So if you want one, you should hurry. So yeah, there's my little ad. Isn't that so fun? I have an ad on my podcast. They're really cool though. One of my friends was their CEO for a bit. Now she's in marketing because they rotate jobs, and they're killing it. It was her original idea, so she's very, very happy with how it's going. But yeah, I'm gonna set this down real quick so you'll hear a clank. Oh, that was 2 clanks. So let's get going. Again, this one might be a little shorter than my normal episodes. I don't know, maybe you'll be like, yes, thank you, please do shorter episodes. I don't care. I'm gonna yap for as long as I want. watch. I say it's gonna be a shorter episode, and then watch it be 40 minutes long. It's okay. First, so we're just gonna launch in. My very first piece I wanted to talk about was the Pas de Deux from The Nutcracker, composed by Tchaikovsky. So devastating, so emotional. Like, the main melody line is a descending scale. And somehow that is the most heartbreakingly beautiful thing on the planet. It does help that Tchaikovsky builds a lot, and he goes through like a development section that helps really nail in that last recurrence of the theme. But man, it's so good. I'm literally going to make a reel about it because it's just emotional and wonderful, and I love it. And it's like the emotional pinnacle of the second act in The Nutcracker, which highly recommend if you've never gone to see The Nutcracker. Hope you can go at some point in your life. It's phenomenal. But it's the Prince and Clara's dance together, or at least that's as it's interpreted a lot of the time. It originally, new word alert. It originally was for the Sugar Plum Fairy and her cavalier. I tried to mispronounce it again. I keep mispronouncing it because I read it and my brain's like cavalier. Like, that's not. Cavalier was one of the ones I had. I was like, that's not right. So her cavalier. I did it again. We're having a great time with that word. Cavalier. Sugar Plum Fairy and her cavalier. That's the original intended dance partner, because Clara is a child and usually played by a child, but most often it gets interpreted as Clara and the Prince, which is also very emotional, very, very beautiful. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful piece of music. It's very short since it's in the ballet, which is unfortunate. One of my favorite movements from The Nutcracker, and something I like everybody should listen to, because I think that is a great example of classical music that people will love no matter what it is. Like, you can feel the emotion. You don't need it to be modern music to feel that emotion and feel the feelings. Yeah. On to another very emotional piece. Sonata Pathétique, Adagio Cantabile. It's featured in the 2019 adaptation of Little Women with Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh and Emma Watson. And I can't remember the fourth actor's name, and I feel really bad, but Timothée Chalamet's also in it. I love this piece so much. It's such an important piece in that movie, and it's an important piece in music history as well, because Beethoven was constantly pushing boundaries. I know how to play this movement of the Sonata Pathétique. It is super fun. It's very simple. It's in A flat major, and it's just stunning. It is stunning. Little Women really made me fall in love with it. But if I had just heard it, I think I would have fallen in love with it anyways. But I love this piece. It's one of my favorite piano pieces I've ever learned how to play. And yeah, it's very emotional. This is the slow movement of the Sonata Pathétique, and voice crack. Yeah, this is the one featured in Little Women, and I just love this one. I adore it with all of my heart. It's a beautiful, beautiful one. We're going in a very different direction next. Very, very different direction. So, Symphonie Fantastique is our next piece we're talking about. And this one is all about the story behind it. This is what they call program music. So absolute music is just music for music's sake. And then program music follows a storyline or has some sort of like poetry or some other inspiration that is specifically dictated by the composer. So the story behind Symphonie Fantastique, grab your popcorn, everybody, because grab your popcorn. This one's really fun. It's about a smitten artist who is in love with this woman, and she's represented by this musical motif, which is just a short little theme. Think like Imperial March. That is a great example of a motif. So she is represented by her own motif called the idée fixe, which is a fixed idea, basically. It's the first movement's all about how he's so desperately in love with her. Then the second movement, they're at a party and she's eluding him, and so the idée fixe is like coming in and then going out and then coming back in and going out, because as he sees her and is walking around at this party, she rejects him. Maybe she doesn't even actually reject him. Maybe, I think he sees her with another man. I can't remember this specific part and I didn't write it down. My bad. But the third movement is his despair. And this is where it gets crazy. He takes opioid and begins to hallucinate. And then the rest of the piece is him hallucinating because of this opioid. So the fourth movement is probably, these last two movements are probably the most famous of this piece. The fourth movement, which I played a simplified version when I was a kid, is March to the Scaffold. And so he hallucinates that he murders the woman he's in love with. And it's all about him going to be executed and then getting executed via guillotine. So like the end of the piece has these two like plucked string notes that represent his head falling down because he just was executed by guillotine. And then the Witch's Sabbath is after he's dead and he's dancing in hell with some witches, and like a distorted version of the idée fixe comes back in. Oh, I forgot to mention, before he dies, the idée fixe comes back in as he's remembering his love that he's murdered, because obviously you look back on people you've murdered with fondness. But when in the fifth movement, in the Witch's Sabbath, it's very distorted. Like everything is like, it's very distorted. Everything is disjunct. Everything is like crazy. It's a very, very interesting piece and pushed the boundaries of symphonies in its time. It's late romantic. All of these are like, pretty much all of these are late romantic to 20th century, because that's my bread and butter. But yeah, it's partially based off of truth. Hector Berlioz was a bit of a stalker. He was obsessed with an actress, who did not return his feelings, and he literally moved in across the street from her so he could watch her from his window. Or it was either across the street from the theater or across from her. I think it might have been the theater. So he was very creepy in that regard. We don't do that. Never do that. I don't expect any of you to do that, but in case you were thinking, yes, this is the way to get a woman. Oh yeah, or a man. No, it's not. Don't do that. That's weird. But this piece was partially based off of his own life. He sees himself as the smitten artist. But then it takes a turn as he goes and takes opium. Takes an opioid. Opium, yeah. He takes a drug that is specified as an opioid, and then hallucinates a lot. And hallucinates about dying. So crazy. Such a crazy, crazy piece. I love that piece. I think it's so good. I think everyone should listen to it. At the very least, listen to at least parts of the last two movements, which are the March to the Scaffold and the Witch's Sabbath. Amazing. The next few I've actually played, and I am so very excited to be talking about them. I played a lot of these. Like, I've played a lot of these since, obviously, that's I'm a music major, and that would explain a lot why I love these pieces. But the next one I wanted to talk about is an Aaron Copland piece, Billy the Kid. Who, if you don't know who Billy the Kid was, he's an old legend, an old outlaw legend in the Wild West, and he's an outlaw and like all that. This is one of my favorite pieces I have ever played. Like, this was one of my first semesters in symphony, one of my first few semesters of college as well, but specifically, it might have been my very first semester of symphony, and they asked me to play viola, because my major's in violin, but I've learned how to play viola, and so when they needed me, they asked me like, "Hey, can you hop on over?" So they'd lend me a viola, and I'd play for symphony. So I played for symphony, and it was so fun. It was so fun. It's like, it goes through this, like, it uses a bunch of folk tunes, like old cowboy tunes, old American folk tunes, incorporates them throughout the whole thing. They just follow Billy the Kid. There's a gun battle. There's the capture of Billy the Kid. And then, like, it's this whole, like, story where they're, like, playing cards by the fire and, like, swapping stories. It's super fun. It's really helped define the American sound, and obviously sounds like the Wild West. Like, Copland was unappreciated in a lot of ways when he was composing. Him versus Gershwin, like, the people loved, like, everybody loved Gershwin. He was America's, like, sweetheart, basically, but a man. And Copland was not. He was very, like, shunned a little bit for his music being so, like, dissonant, as was the trademark of the time. And, like, trying to combine genres was the bigger thing, was that people shunned him for. And I might have some of this information wrong. I'm just remembering what we've been talking about in my music literature class, because I'm in the third music literature class, which is 20th century. So I've been having a great time. But it's very, very, if you think, like, American classical music, like, and Wild West music, you kind of get the idea of what it sounds like. Highly recommend the piece anyways, but you get the idea. The gun battle is so cool. It starts very suddenly, as, you know, a gun battle would. I think it's not a duel. But there's an anticipation, like, anticipated buildup to it. And then it's this huge drum hit that, like, we were hitting it so hard we had to put barriers up in between the percussion section and the woodwinds and brass, because they were hitting the drums so hard. I remember I played one note. I might not have played. The violins at the very least played. They had one note, so I got to just watch the audience. If I was playing two, I had one eye on the conductor, one eye on the audience. People literally jumped when that first drum hit happened, and it was so cool, because then it just keeps going and it feels like super random, like gunshots would sound, like it just like it's like bah 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 bah, like it's super fun. Highly recommend at least that part of it. It's like, how long is that piece? About 20 minutes long. It's towards the end. I'd say start in the middle and then just find it if you're just wanting to hear the gun battle, or just look up the gun battle on, like, YouTube or something, because somebody cut it out of the whole piece. Super good. Love that one. That is one of my favorite pieces I've ever played. On to another favorite piece that I've played. Howard Hanson's Symphony No. 2, which we were talking about in class today. Like that was my class today. I was talking about Howard Hanson. Super sci-fi. Like this is also the age of film music starting up and film genres with like sci-fi and stuff. So a lot of that was intertwined, but I really think that this one, in my heart at least, I believe that this one really pioneered the sci-fi sound. Because if you listen to it, I feel like a lot of movie composers took inspiration from that symphony that was so loved. It's his romantic symphony too. Widely loved. Everybody loved that symphony in the place in America and all over the world. Just so well loved. It's very magical. I think it's just so sci-fi. It really makes me think of Star Wars in a lot of ways with like how the flutes are used, especially. And I'm sure John Williams, this was one of the pieces he took inspiration from, because he took inspiration from a lot of pieces. If you've ever seen the trombone video, where they layer the Imperial March over Prokofiev's Dance of the Nights from Romeo and Juliet. That's a funny video. I'll have to put a link up to that. But it's just romantic, and it feels sci-fi, and it was so fun to play. It was like the most gorgeous, heart-wrenching piece of music I've ever played, because it's cyclical, which is like cycle, where the main themes all come back throughout the piece, and so you hear familiar things. It's kind of like a movie soundtrack with like character themes and motifs. Just a little different, obviously, but that's an easy comparison for people to latch onto. Yeah. Like, it's hard to describe something so vivid on its own. You know? Like, I can talk about all the music, I talk about all I want, but it's never going to compare to actually listening to the song or the piece and finding out for yourself. So go listen to these. I think they're so worth listening to. So we're actually on our last piece that I planned. Maybe one will pop in my head and I'll talk about it. Probably not, because this is a really good one to end on. And it's Shostakovich's Quartet Number 8. Specifically Movement 2, but we're going to talk about the whole thing first. This was dedicated to victims of war and fascism, which was it was a big thing. He was a heavily censored composer. He lived in the USSR, which their censorship was crazy. Like, they had a specific composition style they needed to compose in, which was called socialist realism. Basically, they wanted like classical forms and nothing new. No excessive dissonance, no 12-tone rows, no like serialism, nothing modern. Needed to be easy for audiences to understand, is kind of how they described it. And he was blacklisted for a while. He did a Lady Macbeth opera, which was supposed to be a satirical take on a political something, and Stalin was there. And he did not like it. And he quote unquote anonymously posted in the paper, wrote something for the paper with a scathing review, letting him know he was blacklisted. They fabricated his apology, Shostakovich's apology, about the opera. Like, blacklisted for a while, almost got exiled. He had family members who were killed and exiled. Like, crazy amount of censorship, and he got really depressed and like couldn't compose because he was so depressed. Like, it was really, really difficult for him, and I wish we could have gotten more if he was able to immigrate, like a lot of other composers from Germany and the USSR were able to. I wish he had also been able to, because I think we could have just seen so many cool things. His Quartet Number 8, though, So good. It's so much fun to play. I've played it on both viola and violin. The second movement is very fast. Like all of the notes are quarter notes and half notes, and they sound not like quarter notes and half notes would be expected to sound. Just like you would think it's in a slower tempo with like 16th notes and like quarter notes. Nope, it is half notes and quarter notes. It starts on a half note and it's like like it's just that those were quarter notes that I just like like that's how fast the quarter notes were. It's very dissonant, very fun, has kind of like an interesting B section. It kind of flips back and forth between the that part and like the fast like quick hitting part. It's in a rondo form, truthfully, because it's got a different part that it comes back to. So A is different, but it goes to B and then it comes back to B a lot, which is like the so good. Very quick listen too, because it's so fast. It's like 2 minutes long. Very quick listen. Very interesting dissonance. It's so interesting. It's very difficult. Like the fact that I was playing this in high school, and then our college symphony played that, which is very different and difficult in its own right, getting a large ensemble like that to play all together. Whereas this is meant to be a quartet, which we had a larger quartet, but we also played it in small quartets. Very difficult. The fact that I was playing this in high school is crazy to me now, knowing what I know about how difficult some of the things I was playing were. Like, go me, pat on the back right there. Sorry, my voice is giving out a little bit. I should have had more water before I started recording, and that's okay. Drink water, kids. Hydrate or dihydrate. It's very, 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 it's just amazing. It's just it's so dissonant and it's so modern in so many ways. While still, I can't remember when this one was written. It might have been later after. No, because it was a little later in his career because this is 8th quartet. But it was I feel like so modern while it could still fit in the socialist realism idea. I think the dedication helped that. The dedicated to victims of fascism and war. Because obviously the USSR was communist and not on the fascist. Fascism was very on the right, and then communism is very on the left of everything. So they were not allies with Germany during World War II and everything. So I think they let it slide because of that, when really he was mourning his country. He's also mourning victims of fascism and war, but he's also mourning the victims of communism in the USSR, which was not on paper communism. It was very different from communism on paper. Oh, it's just fascinating talking about 20th century music. I love 20th century music. I think it's so cool. There's so many good composers from the 20th century, and I think people write it off because it's too modern and too like dissonant and crazy and hard to understand. And I think that's just because it's hard to come at it cold. But yeah, that was our last piece we're going to talk about today. But we're plugging along. We're having a great time. Our last episode is the next episode for the season. I'm planning to come back with probably a longer season next January, once I have moved and I'm settled in an apartment or somewhere, settled somewhere, when I can get a nice room and atmosphere going for the podcast. So I don't know exactly when I'll be back, but I'll be back. But next week, our topic is a mystery. You don't get to know. Truthfully, I don't know yet. That's also a problem that I need to take care of. I don't exactly know what we're going to talk about. I have an idea. I'm going to keep it secret because then it's more fun. But it is our season finale of the first season of the Music by Mads podcast, which is crazy. I never thought I'd start a podcast in my life, but I did. It's doing pretty well, actually, for a first season. I'm very impressed by what I have been able to accomplish going in cold to a podcast without as much marketing as I wanted beforehand. So yeah, that'll be next week. We'll do a little goodbye. We'll cry a little. Maybe we'll bring a treat in. And we'll all collectively bring treats for ourselves as we're listening. And we'll have a little party. We'll have an end of school party kind of thing for the last episode. We'll just make it fun and cute. Maybe I'll have a party hat or something. Probably not. I don't want to go out and buy a single party hat. Yeah, so that's next week. Before we end the episode, though, there's one more thing we have to do. And that is the songs of the day. It has been a week. I'm a little fried from midterms, and I feel like my picks have reflected that. In addition to the classical pieces I've picked, because I want you to get to listen to some of these on the playlist. The first one is Evermore, featuring Bon Iver by Taylor Swift, which I think is a very appropriate pick for my second November episode. Not my first November episode. When I was writing this outline, I was still recording the first and getting going. Yeah, I mean, the first lyrics are Grey November. Like, it's November. It's Evermore time. I've been listening to a lot of Evermore. All of the non-classical music on this list is from Evermore. So I think that's a very appropriate pick for November. Then we've got the Adagio Cantabile from Sonata Pathétique by Ludwig van Beethoven. Phenomenal. I already talked about it. We've also got the Pas de Deux from the Nutcracker by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Stunning. Again, I already discussed it, so I'm just breezing through. Then we've got It's Time to Go by Taylor Swift from Evermore, one of the bonus tracks. That's, I lied about all of them being from Evermore. One moment. Pause. It's Time to Go is also another, like, the snaps from the same little breaks in your soul is just really hits during the fall for some reason. It's probably because the seasonal depression's acting up. It's coming back for everybody. R.I.P. all of us seasonal depression folks. But it's very introspective, and I think it's just such a wonderful, wonderful fall song. Then we've got The Final Fight by Conan Gray from Found Heaven. This is obviously not Taylor Swift. I lied a second ago. That's my bad. So underrated from Found Heaven. Like, I feel like nobody talks about this song, but it's so good, and I want it to get more love. So go listen to The Final Fight by Conan Gray. Then we've got Dance of the Nights from Romeo and Juliet, composed by Sergei Prokofiev, which is a ballet. And this is, I don't remember what point of the ballet this is, but it's Dance of the Nights. This is the one that those trombones layered Imperial March over. Super fun. You'll hear it when you listen to it. You'll hear where it fits in pretty easily. It's pretty obvious how inspired that was. And then for our last song of the day, Movement 2 from Quartet No. 8, composed by Dmitri Shostakovich. My boy Shosty. We love him. And those are our songs of the day, and I really hope you enjoy discovering some classical music. Maybe this wasn't your jam. I hope it becomes your jam a little bit, because I'll do this occasionally, just talking about some pieces I love. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And I will see you for our very last episode. Bye!